Hey there, I wanted to talk to you about our first quiz together, give you some time to reflect and contemplate, and see if you can figure out ways to do even better next time. When I teach a face-to-face class, I make a big deal about the way that I grade an exam, and it's a little bit harder for me to communicate some of my philosophy about exams. I believe in the purple pen. I want you to know that when I grade your exam, I have a song in my heart and a smile on my face. I don't know anybody who needs any more angry red marks on their work, right? So keep in mind that I was in a good mood looking for the best results possible for your exam. Here on the left is the grading scale on the 50-point exam. These are the correct responses to the multiple choice questions, stressing the concepts of art and context in the first section by talking about the different ways that Europe was working, and then the second part focusing on technique. And I think that I reinforce those ideas, especially in the exam review, that they would be important. Okay, let's talk about our first essay opportunity. This little image has paragraphs to say about it, and that's one of the reasons that we choose it. It is full of innovation, right? So that's one of the things that we're always looking for when we're looking at a piece of art. What is new? What is different? What has never been done before? So in Masaccio's Tribute Money, a true wet fresco, created during the transition between Proto and Early Renaissance, you've got, bang, number one, a multiple narrative, right? So we've got John 3 different times. It's showing the beginning of the story, the middle of the story, and the end of the story. And isn't that great that he didn't line it up in left to right sequence, that he broke it into those different components? Certainly, you see evidence of both linear and atmospheric perspective. You could talk about the foreground, the midground, the background. You could talk about the narrative itself of Christ and the disciples coming into town, the tax collector coming out, Peter getting angry, Peter going over to the water and opening the mouth of a fish where a coin comes out, and you can just picture him marching, boom, 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 across to thrust that coin into the hand of the tax collector. You see contrapposto weight shift, figures shown from the back. You see their cast shadows from the unseen light source. See the shadows down there? So in order to earn your points for this, I needed to see at least 10 different points that were correct. And if you had those 10 points and they were correct, then I looked at your writing style, for how sophisticated your writing style was. Now, I don't expect these to be perfectly crafted essays, especially with the combination of the time constraint that you're working on and the fact that this is your first quiz. But those are the things that will earn you greater credit. All right, so I'm sure you know why I chose this work. We spent an entire activity looking at another work that was similar by Botticelli. And so hopefully with your review from listening to the mini doc about the Venus, you can transfer your knowledge to what you see here. One of the major differences with Botticelli's work is that he chose non-religious subject matter. He was really interested in mythology. This piece of art was actually part of a piece of furniture. So if you can picture sort of like a wooden chest with a picture on the back of it above the level, it was sort of like a wooden couch, if you will. And it was created as a wedding gift. So it's had a hard life. It was taken out of its original installation place and then cut up and then stored. There's so much to say here about how the Venus figure in the center is put under this arch, and it almost makes her look like the Virgin Mary standing in some kind of cathedral. We've got Flora here, originally shown twice, here as Chloris, who's being chased by Zephyr, the wind god. You've got the three graces in the middle and what their gaze does, the significance of gesture. Here is Mercury reaching up for oranges, the symbol of the Medici, who were that ruling family of the city-state of Florence. For your comparison, I chose two early sculptures. The Paesano pulpit in the baptistry in Pisa at about 1260 versus Sluther's Well of Moses from the north. So the purpose is different. The function, right? One is a marker for a water well. It was originally outside, but because it's an artwork now, it's housed in this special structure, but was in the cloister of the monastery. Whereas the pulpit then would have been a place for the priest to give the words of institution. And remember that we've got the symbols of the evangelists on this one. It's made with both stone and different colored marble. We've got the holdover Gothic arch elements here, and then the panels that have the relief on them. So in our early narrated talks, we spoke in detail about the nativity scene. You had a voice thread activity about the crucifixion scene, and so you should have been able to pull these things together. The Moses figure here that's closest to us is standing in contrapposto weight shift. So lots to say about this one. Finally then, another image that you should have recognized right away, even if you couldn't figure out the narrative, which is of the nativity. You see there's Mary, there's baby Jesus, you see the donkey and the lambs, and they're in this sort of a simply built wooden structure. The angels are rejoicing. Nativity, those are the elements that make up a nativity, and of course it's a giotto. You see the blue in the background, you see figures from the back, you see those faces that are somewhat conventionalized for the time. And again, the narrated talk spoke in detail about Giotto's lamentation. Your voice thread about the crucifixion should have made this something that was easy to spot. Another detail is you could have talked about where this is located, inside the Arena Chapel in the city of Padua, created by the Scaravenge family, who were a family of moneylenders. And remember the biblical charge against being a moneylender. So one of the things Scaravenge did was to build this to help get out of trouble. And remember, there's even a little portrait of him holding up the church inside the Last Judgment fresco. If you had a disaster, if you earned 34 points or below, this is what you can do to try and improve your grade. Rewrite and type up the essay questions as if you had all the time in the world, your notes and your book, okay? Send them to me in an email attachment by 10 p.m. on July 10th, and I will consider giving you partial credit. It's really a good idea if you're going to do this to do it right away and don't wait till the end, because you have so many new responsibilities, so much new learning to do this next week. So I appreciate your hard work. Keep it up. And sometimes students say, can I fail the first exam and still get an A in the class? Well, of course not. But if you had a disaster on your first exam, you still can pass the class. If there's anything I can do to help you succeed, let me know.